Hello, everyone. Unlimited Gaming. So, this is going to be a bit of an interesting video, more of a discussion than an actual news piece today. Don't leave, don't leave, don't leave. Um, it's just that for this week, there's not a lot of at least I would consider so far from what I've
I
heard,
mean,
breaking news headline.
there is the GTA 6 stuff
Yeah,
going
like
on.
leaks and going
Yeah,
on, but it's
but
I
like
mean, at this
that
point, if you know
goes
GTA, it
into
kind of goes without saying.
yeah, that goes without saying, but that also kind of goes into okay, do we really want to go and like make it okay to be like, oh yeah, I hacked into this and got the full game and I'm gonna slowly leak it and ruin it for everybody just to make the
Eh.
statement of I want physical discs. Like,
Fair point. We also technically have a bit of a leak policy on this show, where it's
yeah,
like we don't cover leaks
we
generally
don't
speaking. We
want to
try to
cover
avoid doing.
any of that really when you think about it. So
Yeah, we don't tend to cover that. I think we only ever covered it once or twice, and that's only when it's like been very important and very big, and this is
and
just
I
hey,
mean
GTA stuff is leaking.
yeah, and the other thing about it too is the leaks that we do tend to cover tend to be leaks that the studio or whatever in question tends to admit.
Yeah,
Like, if they admit it, then yeah, okay, we're full on fine.
yeah. There's a whole policy we have for that. Not important for this show, but just say that I personally, I think Justin can say from what I've been hearing, don't really consider the whole GTA business as big newsworthy headlines to smash on the front page. It's just GTA stuff is leaking, and what else?
Yes, the game
Rockstar
that
always
is
tends to have
more or
something to
less
about.
like Half-Life 3 at this point.
Yeah,
Everyone's been
honestly, in terms
waiting
of
for
popularity.
it.
For a literal fucking decade at this point.
Yes.
It's and besides it's Rockstar. They tend to have stuff leak all the time, probably because they allow it. It's Rockstar. They farm controversy like a farmer farms tomatoes. It's just how they are. But anyways, that's not what we're talking about this week. We're talking about something that is interesting. Destiny and Marathon and Bungie, because I want to talk about it this week, and damn it, I'm going to talk about it. So there's an article that came out from goodness gracious, Game Rant. Don't know why my brain farted there for a second. One of 6 Bungie games have quietly survived, and it's not Destiny 3. So of the 6 games that Bungie had, 5 are dead, and none are Destiny 3. If you've probably heard the story so far, you probably know which one. It's just, I'm going to break the ice. It's Gummy Bears. I know. That one, I believe, has been transferred over to Sony, actually, to work on, and no one knows what that is, but eh. But yeah, basically the report goes on. This is the article here. We're basically beyond Marathon and Destiny Rising, which is a Tencent property, I believe. Only one other Bungie game has survived the studio's issues, and again, not Destiny 3. Its final update was on June 9th, if you haven't known. I've been slowly playing through that because since there's no longer any real mass incentive to keep up with content, I can slowly do Destiny now. I've been gonna do all the stuff. Anyways, that was announced May of this year, May 21st, and yeah, stop making updates and Bungie's Destiny is on ice for the time being. But Marathon still lives, yay. Which has put Bungie in some serious trouble, because I'm not sure if you've been checking the Marathon numbers, but they're not
They're not
encouraging.
there.
They're not encouraging, despite what Sony would say. I Call me crazy, Justin, but I get the feeling they're in some serious fucking denial.
They're 100% in denial, my brother.
Definitely in denial.
Like, your
And even the
game
art.
is very quiet, my dude.
Yeah, that's kind of the sad part too. I almost feel sad for Marathon, as crazy as this is. I'm not
Mhm.
going to be focusing too much on the article. I'll be referencing it here and there, but this is kind of a bigger talking off point we can go on here, right? Like, because I can reference it to kind of have points like this, where it's like even the article itself says that Destiny 2 has roughly 10 times the player numbers of Marathon, despite, being quote unquote in maintenance mode. So it's not encouraging. And I almost feel bad for Marathon. No, genuinely, I do. I play the game on and off occasionally, and here's the thing, right? In playing Marathon, I've learned that I actually don't mind extraction shooters, even the incredibly sweaty ones. Am I going to play them religiously like I play Destiny? Oh, hell no. But they're not bad games. In fact, just before the show, me and Justin were actually talking about a game, or I was bringing up to a game called Forever Winter, and it's kind of an extraction anti-shooter thing that's, very PvE focused as far as I can tell. It looks pretty interesting. I might pick it up and try it. It's still in the early development stage, and, it's been a big mixed reviews, but I'll give it a whirl. So, I don't mind extraction shooters. And Marathon itself, in all disclosure, is not a bad game. Like, genuinely, it's not a bad game. It's a very high-budget extraction shooter, and it looks like it's a very high-budget extraction shooter, and there's not many of those out there right now. The problem is that Sony and Bungie desperately want it to be something it's very much not going to be. Like, they thought it was going to replace Destiny, and I think we all can collectively agree there's not a single universe in which that happens.
That is not happening, my dude.
That is not happening, no. But for some reason, Bungie and Sony desperately want it to be. In fact, Bungie needs it to be. Sony just wants it to be. They needed it to be. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen when they eventually clue in that it's not. I'm getting the feeling they're just going to keep telling themselves this until it happens, kind of a make it to you, kind of a fake it till you make it scenario, because the alternative is that Sony gets angry and shuts down Bungie, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing at this point. No, I'm going to say a bad thing, very bad thing, because people will lose their jobs, and hey, the IPs will go to Sony, and yeah, let's not have that. So, But all in all, this kind of leaves us with a weird position of like most of the stuff is completely gone, and the only thing that really has come out of this is gummy bears. And gummy bears, if you're not aware, is this weird. I think it was like this. According to the article, it is a MOBA-like game, so it's a mobile game looking thing, with arena fighter elements, and it's called Project Gummy Bears. And the only reason it made it through, apparently, according to the article, is that it was moved to Sony's Team LFG instead of remaining a Bungie project. So the only reason Gummy Bears itself even survived is because Sony scooped it up and threw it over to one of their teams instead of keeping it as a Bungie project. As it goes on, likewise, Destiny Rising was released by NetEase. Excuse me, it was not Tencent, it was NetEase. Another big Chinese tech company in the mobile space. If you've been in the mobile space, you've heard of both of them. In collaboration with Bungie. Thus, the only game that Bungie managed to publish is Marathon, which is also at risk of shutting down, as we've just mentioned. Yeesh. Jason Schreier, as the article actually goes on, shared a recent video, interestingly enough, that talks about Sony's disastrous live service initiative that led to multiple studio shutdowns or wasting time and money on canceled titles, including Bungie. According to Schreier, Bungie had up to 5 or 6 games in the works at some point, because yeah, that was going to work at some point. And Destiny 3 was never actively being made. Of those, only one game survived, Bungie's restructuring, and, well, we've already talked about Gummy Bears, so let's just not do that again. It's kind of sad, if I'm being honest with you. I mean, when you really stop to look at the field that is the live service industry, everything has mostly just completely died. And everything Sony has touched in recent years, barring Helldivers, which that's a whole other basket to talk about, has just turned to lead. And heck, even if you want to discuss Helldivers, you could argue that Helldivers wasn't actually made by Bungie. Like, it wasn't funded or anything by Bungie. It was just scooped up and then slapped a Bungie's or Sony's name on it. Excuse me.
Well, technically, the original Helldivers was actually supported by Sony.
True. Like, the original Helldivers was supported by
Sony. Were with the help of Sony, so there's that.
True. So the original Helldivers was. But the newest one, I mean, it was never meant to be this big success. It was just meant to be a sequel to a pretty beloved cult game. It just got picked up and made into a massive thing because it turned out to be really good. Because, I mean, when you think about it, yeah, sizing up Helldivers to the position it was going to be very fun. Especially considering, I think it was like around the time when team-based games were getting all the rage. So team-based shenanigans were all out there. Just look at things like, oh my goodness gracious, I can't remember the name now, which is not helping this point. Oh my goodness, the game we played, you, me, and our buddy when we were at the Christmas party.
Oh.
Him and I know. We're trying to think of the name, but just look at my Steam. I have it. Why didn't I just do this to begin with?
Gopplebot, or not Gopplebot, but
Nah, that one. Before that. It was the one that was popular for a while. You guys in the comments may know this, but for some reason my memory is failing me right now, which is not helping this point, if I'm being honest with you. But Lethal Company.
Lethal Company, yes.
That's it. I don't know why I could not remember that for like a hot second. But anyways, games like Lethal Company and stuff like that showed there was an interest for like team-based shenanigans. And so it makes sense that stuff like Helldivers, which is just asking for team-based shenanigans, got popular. Especially considering Helldivers is a very interesting and fun gameplay loop. It's basically Warhammer, but without any of the darkness to it. It's just complete satire.
It's
Um,
all for the fun.
it's all for the fun. It's all complete satire. But but yeah, it's unfortunate that when you look at the field, most stuff died. I mean, let's not bring up the Ghost of Concord. The only thing that really people were clamoring for in the MMO space was Destiny 3. I mean, the players wanted it. It felt like a natural progression because, I mean, Destiny 2 had just so much time behind it. Yeah, the engine kind of got updated, but that didn't really resolve anything because there was all that, still like RKO code that they had to deal with. There was just a bunch of issues that, yeah, the engine change may or may not have resolved things, but hey, a fresh start would have at least been a good place, and the story was in a place where they could do that and do it successfully. But they didn't. They chose to make Marathon and kind of push people from Destiny over to Marathon, despite, I mean,
Yeah,
that
just one
that wasn't what we
one
wanted.
game type to another is no, was not gonna
Yeah,
work.
yeah, nobody really like that was like the early joke in the days of Marathon, right? Like who actually wanted this? The investors. The investors wanted it because it was just a giant buzzword categorizer, like extraction shooter, live service, you know, bunch of stuff that I can't think of anymore. Live service, extraction shooter, all the big buzzwords that were going around the industry at the time when it comes to when it comes to just printing money stuff. And Tarkov was getting big, as well as games like Arc Raiders, which I don't even think was out yet, but eventually got big just shortly before Marathon came out. So it was only kind of like increasing the idea that, oh, the extraction shooter is the way to go. It's the next big thing. But there wasn't really much interest in the extraction shooter space for another extraction shooter. I mean, yeah, things started kind of going well. By the time Marathon came out, people were kind of getting bored of Tarkov, if memory serves, and Arc Raiders was eh. But you got to remember that ultimately speaking, Marathon is a fundamentally different game than both of those. You know, Marathon is high sci-fi where Tarkov is not. It is high competitive where Arc Raiders is definitely not. And so it's a niche within a niche. And yet that was supposed to replace the cult following that was Destiny. I don't see it. Personally, I don't see it. And so, eh? And here's the thing, people have been hoping for something from Destiny for a while. I mean, Project Payback was hoping to be a big Destiny return to form. Really turned out to just be a third-person Destiny spin-off that was reportedly canceled back in 24, so
There's that.
that never went anywhere. Sunspot, which was a Destiny spin-off that was reportedly canceled in 23 after Sony's acquisition, so Sony themselves killed that one. A Destiny PvP game, like there was clearly plans when you look at the list of games that this article references that were in the works by Destiny to create more stuff in the IP. There was clearly a desire in the studio to create more Destiny type products, but never a Destiny 3, which is always baffling, like I said, because that's the one thing people actually wanted.
Well, I mean, to be fair though, people wanted a Destiny 3 mainly because they wanted an upgraded engine and they wanted to go and prevent things from being removed from the game again and again.
True, but also the fact that, a fresh start did feel like a
A
good
fresh
spot to
start
do
would
it.
help a lot, yeah.
Yeah, at that point, it did feel like a good place to do that. But, it does seem like there was definitely a desire, at least in the executives, which do seem to be the main problem with this whole business, to make more Destiny type stuff, but not what anyone actually wanted. And Sony, I mean, I don't know what to say with Sony's contribution to all of it. I mean, they seem to be mostly interested in funding Marathon, which, I mean, maybe they're just interested in trying to get something out the door for the live service industry. They want something. I personally maintain the idea that maybe they were maybe because they got rid of Destiny partially out of hatred. There was a theory going around a while back. You may or may not have heard about it. There was a rumor that the reason Destiny got the axe and got officially put on maintenance mode, like especially on like the last minute, because you remember, I got to dig up this article, maybe put in the comments below. But the people actually working on Destiny did not themselves, by and large, even know Destiny was going on maintenance mode until we did. We found out the same time they did. The only ones who really knew in Bungie were like
Were
the
the
upper management,
executives.
were the executives and like team leads, who on the team leads defense were literally coming out saying we wanted to tell people, but
But we,
executives said
yeah.
no.
If they told people, the executives would find out, and there goes their cut.
Not even just there goes their cut.
They
It's
could
just
get,
the executives said no.
yeah.
They wanted to tell their teams because, I mean, why would you keep your people working on stuff that never would see the light of day anyway? That makes no sense. That's a waste of time and money, which it seems Bungie is an expert on at this second point.
Mhm.
But yeah, no, the executives up top said, no, don't tell them. Keep it a secret, and then we'll reveal it to everyone. Which, why? Maybe they were afraid of this leaking to the public and causing a backlash, which, congratulations, you did anyway?
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Congratulations, you did the one thing that you didn't want to do.
Yeah, like, what was the point? And then there was the big layoffs, as you probably have heard, where a good chunk of Destiny's team has been axed at this point, and like some of Marathon's team, to my shock, honestly, I thought they were never going to touch any of Marathon's team. But yeah, 90% of the Destiny team is gone, and like, let's say 5% of the team, and that's just me estimating because we don't actually have the exact numbers, but we do know like 99% of the Destiny team is gone, and like a little bit of Marathon. Of how much percent wise, I don't know. I'm just estimating on that front, but
Still.
still, like there's clearly a desire to slim down Sony or slim down Bungie by Sony to make them profitable and make them do Marathon well, which again I don't see why. Like again, I was gonna go into the point of like maybe the whole theory going there was a theory going around a while ago, as I mentioned, that maybe Bungie wanted or maybe Bungie had or excuse me, maybe Sony put Destiny on ice because Bungie kept costing them money. Like every month or every quarterly review coming into the release of the news that Destiny was going on ice seemed to have just been another impairment loss on Bungie, another impairment loss on Bungie, totaling millions of dollars. And you can imagine the Sony investors were angry as heck that they were basically bleeding cash. Because if you're not aware, basically what an impairment loss is in real simple speak is basically you have an asset, it's worth X amount of money, but recent reviews and process and progress has made it so that that's not actually the case anymore. So you strike down what that loss is officially, or you strike down what that asset's worth is on the books. So now instead of being worth 1 million, it's only worth 500,000 officially, and that has a lot to do with how much you can sell that product off later and a bunch of other financial things. But basically, if you're an investor, that's not good. Very not good.
You don't want to
And so
be like that.
yeah, especially because every quarterly review, it seemed that they were doing it again and again and again. So there was a theory going around that maybe Sony's executives were just bitter at the fact that they'd lost God knows how many millions of dollars, and so they just they just shuttered Destiny, which I don't know why. What, like, I think Cross himself even discussed this point of like, why would you do that? What are you trying to prove? And you could say, well, maybe that's just because that's not the case. And yeah, maybe so, but like, there's no real other reason you can think of as to why Destiny had itself shuttered by Sony and by Destiny executive or by Bungie executive, excuse me. I mean, most of the executives I hear are just jumping ship at
Mm-hmm.
this point, though that I think is just, that might be me misremembering. But yes, the order came down from Sony, and even people within Sony reportedly were questioning the decision. Why shutter? Why shutter the game? It makes no sense. It made a ton of money, and yet they did anyway. So I don't know. There's just no real logical reason I can think of to shutter Destiny, the more successful IP, as we've already covered in this episode, by a metric ton, even now, beyond petty vitriol. But I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know. What do you think, Justin?
Something's going on here and it's not adding up.
That's the thing, right? Like, it's kind of the fun discussion we can have this episode. It's not exactly a happy discussion, I give you that, because, dragging up the corpse of a game that everyone more or less liked or at least knew of in some regard, and just talking about the absolute travesty that was its maintenance mode and effective killing is unfortunate, but it needs to be brought up because, again, it's things like this where you sit there and question what the reasoning was. And even now, Sony continues to say that Marathon they're continuing to support Marathon. They're continuing to do this. All the while, as this article ends out, that the official Destiny 3 petition, which, mind you, you should sign, by the way, it probably won't do anything, but it's good to at least sign it, has gotten over 400,000 signatures. So 400,000 people have gone out of their way to the point of going to a website, signing a petition, clicking, saying, yes, I have signed, and putting it in to actually get a D3. 400,000 people have confirmed they want a D3, which I'm not sure if you're keeping track of the numbers. Yeah, not sure if you've been keeping track of the numbers. It's way more than what Marathon's average player count is just in general. So, I don't know.
Something is being said here. Something very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, like that seems to be the end lesson of Destiny and Bungie as a whole and Sony's management of it. Players say we want X, Sony delivers Y, and Bungie delivers Z, if anything at all. Or maybe it's more that Bungie executives just don't give a shit. They don't deliver anything. Players want X, and executives, Sony, Bungie management deliver Y, and then pretend that we should be grateful for them delivering anything, I guess. Which, yeah, not sure if that's how that works.
Who knows?
Interesting discussions to go off here, like I said. Supposedly, well, no, not supposedly, officially, as things currently stand, there is no Destiny 3 in the works. And if there is, it's in very early development, if anything. And yeah, that's kind of where Bungie, Sony, and Destiny and Marathon all stand. It's not a pretty place, but it's an interesting discussion to have because I wanted to talk about all of this, and gee darn it, I will. So yeah, that's kind of where we are with this one. Like I said, this article will be down in the description. I'll dig up a few articles for other things that I think are relevant, like those layoffs if you want to read into them, and the whole business of stuff. Maybe we'll see what other articles I can dig up that are particularly relevant to this conversation. Truth be told, I had no idea where this I was going to say argument for some reason. This discussion was going when I first started it. We were just like, hey, let's have a discussion about Destiny.
Yeah, like, no matter what, this comes down to the fact of, like, there's been obviously a bunch of stuff going on with Bungie, and because Sony is, like, let's be honest here, isn't getting their money back from, like, all that stuff.
No.
Obviously, a lot of stuff's been going on. So
Yeah, like,
yeah, there's
again,
that.
a lot of stuff to talk about. I mean, we did promise a while back we'd talk about the stuff with the layoffs, and I don't know if we ever did really do that, so maybe this is me cashing in, I don't know. But yeah, between the potential rumors of Sony executives being bitter about losing all the money to the complete mismanagement shenanigans that have been going on with Destiny executives, whatever are left at this point, to the just Destiny players and honestly team members who work on the game just not being told anything until effectively the last minute. This story almost feels like a textbook example of what not to do when running a live service, which I honestly feel like that might just be what ends up happening. I feel like Destiny may go down in history as a textbook
Rule number
example.
1, communicate with your community. Rule number 2, take at least some moderate amount of feedback from said community. At least
Yeah, like,
some feedback.
I mean, again, I hate to bring them into the room, but that's why games like Warframe and DE are so popular compared to things like Bungie's management. Because, again, DE listens to the players, or at least they give the feeling that they listen to the players. I mean, there's probably one or two people who would argue they may not, but
It's better
generally
than nothing.
speaking, yeah, it's better than nothing. They're open with their community. They're transparent. They do monthly dev streams for Warframe even now. And when they made Soulframe, which is the new thing they're working on, they didn't say, okay, Warframe's dead. We're moving on. They took the people who didn't want to do Warframe anymore, the old guard, transferred them over to Soulframe, and basically immediately filled those roles with people from inside the team. They kept the team for Warframe the same size. They didn't just slash it by half and move them over to Soulframe, which
They hired more people because there was more demand.
yeah, more demand. They
Oh
just
my
increased.
god.
And even then, they only had Soulframe as like this small thing being built up in the background, being like a small team and stuff like that. Yeah, it'll take a lot longer than more Marathon's development, which maybe that's why. Which, if you don't remember, that is exactly what freaking Bungie executives did. They literally slashed off the PvP team for Destiny and threw them over to Marathon. and just never bothered replacing them. Which, I mean, sure, yeah, it may have gotten Marathon out the door faster, but I mean, look how that worked out. Like, it didn't really do much in the end, especially because all the extra time they probably bought for themselves was lost because of the controversy of the art scandal. Let's not forget that was a thing.
Yeah, that was
So,
quite the shenanigans.
yeah, so it's like in the end, it didn't really matter anywhere. It didn't really matter as much as it did in the end anyway. And Marathon still, despite being, like I said, a decent game, didn't really go as much as they wanted it to. So like, it's a AAA. They want it to be a AAA game, but it should be a AA game. Like if this were a AA studio making a AAA game, this wouldn't be a problem. But Sony wants results that just aren't there, and will probably never be there. Again, Marathon is high budget, and it's a great game if you like that kind of thing. I'm not saying it's a bad game, but it just isn't where Sony wants it to be, and when you really look at it realistically, probably never will be. So I don't know. But that's why you got companies like DE where the community was like, "Yay, Soulframe, it's a new thing. That'll be interesting." Versus Marathon, which I mean, I already covered that. The joke was, who the heck even wants this? So I don't know. Just two very different ways of doing things, and Bungie executives and that management fiasco will probably go back in textbooks as the case in point of what not to do with game dev. So, anyways, that's the Destiny stuff. That's the Marathon stuff. That's the Bungie stuff. That's the Sony stuff. I covered a lot of stuff in 26 minutes. That's not as short as I think it is. That's the show. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you found it interesting. Long form discussion, I know, but this is just us bringing up a topic from an article and just kind of expounding on it, seeing where the conversation goes. So hope you all found it interesting. And tell me in the description, is this not something you want in the future? Maybe I should just stick to news. Shut up, Nick, and stick to what you're good at or something like that.
Stay in your room.
Stay in your room. Let us know down in the comments section. Like, subscribe. You know how it is here. It really helps with the channel. We're small. We could use everyone's help to get bigger. And we are deeply appreciative of it. That's the show. That's it. Hope you all enjoyed it and hope you all have a good one. Bye-bye, everybody.